Now we are going to discuss another case study. To get better understand, I believe you have read it, however, without taking much more time, read it again. XYZ PLC is a mid-sized company with 500 employees that has been experiencing high turnover rates in recent years. Turnover, you know that. What is the turnover? Employee turnover. Experiencing high turnover. They are leaving from the organization. You know that it is badly affected to the organization performance because after conducting interview process, what a recruitment effort, recruit and selection effort, you have selected them to the organization, but without staying with you, they are going to leave. That's a big issue for the organization. Then that organization, then you can see the entire organization process here, but they have done it right at the moment. What is they are doing? HR department has identified the inconsistent hiring process may be contributing to that problem. That means that they don't have any consistent recruitment process that might they have recognized that is the main reason for that. After data collection, analyzing the root cause, after recognizing root causes, you know that you can use the Pareto diagram, Ishikawa diagram, then by using those things, you can recognize the root cause for it. They have recognized the root cause. What is it? Hiring process is the contributor to the main issue is the inconsistent hiring process. Inconsistent hiring process for the problem. The hiring process varied widely across the department because they have given recruitment opportunity to the department and hiring managers. They sometimes might be that the organization had different branches. They have given opportunity to recruit the employees themselves, and then that is the situation they have mentioned. No? I'm not going to say whether it is okay or not under the HR practice or see just this is a situation they have used. Right? They have used. I had the same experience in my life. There's some are using that only the HRM department are handling the top management positions, top management and executives. For the balance workforce, they are giving permission to recruit from their departments or the sub units or workshops because it is very much easy to continue the business without any sorry if I say something like that because for the recruitment it is taken some time, no? Time taken effort. Then if you are, it is if it is going to do by the office, so the corporate HR department, sometimes it will take more time to recruit and appoint a person for the each and every position. Because of that, some organization they have decentralized the power to the departments and the workshops to recruit that level of employees at the time they want, right? Then that is the process here. The hiring process varied widely across the departments, and hiring managers with some department having rigorous process and other having more relaxed process. Some are following a very rigorous process, some are not. That means that it's a fault of the HR department. They must introduce some process to each and every department, each and every recruitment managers to perform it. But here there is no system. Each and everyone is performing in different ways, right? Additionally, some hiring managers were more prone to making bias hiring decisions. Some are going to recruit people based on their personal bias to some persons because you know that ultimately we are as an organization, but we are going to spend our money, right, to get the maximum results. If we get we to select person based on some bias, ultimately he might not be the best person to recruit, right? The inconsistency of the hiring process was leading to the number of HR-related issues. Yes, automatically it is create a lot of issues, such as employee turnover rate, inconsistent quality of the and inconsistent quality of the new hires, as well as a lack of diversity and inclusion of the workforce. Likewise, there are a number of, in addition to that, there are a number of issues. You can see because of that inconsistency of the process. In order to conquer these obstacles and reducing hiring bias, that is the ultimate target of the organization. HR department decided to apply Six Sigma technique to standardize the hiring process across the departments. HR department has taken decisions to streamline that hiring process. For that, they are going to use that Six Sigma technique. Explain how to use the Six Sigma method to address these issues using the following table. All right. They have how to use that Six Sigma method to address this issue. Right? In one hand, you should have a capacity to recognize the steps of the hiring process because you have passed the second year HRM subject. Now you know that knowledge, it is with you, it is in your mind. But you have, as a manager, now what you are going to do is, it is not much required to know everything about the process, but I believe you have some idea about what it is. Right? Secondly, you are going to apply the Six Sigma process for it. That means, first of all, you are required to analyze the existing process. There are existing number of existing processes within that. Not only one, there are a number of existing processes. Now we are going to standardize. First of all, because of that, you are required to analyze the existing ones. Right? Then now they have given a table. Here, they have given a table. Right? Whatever the thing you won't like, you can write it in the way. You are required to fill the table. If you are not going to fill the table, you are in a trouble. Right? Because that examiner asks very direct answer for those things. Direct answer. Because of that, be careful. Don't write unnecessary things. Try to fill the form. That is more than enough. You are not required to write more and more information. It is not much important. Those are short answers. If you are using a one page, you can give the answer. It is not much important number of how many pages you have written during the exam. You are not going to count the number of pages that you have written. Right? But we are expecting the correct answer. That is our target. Sometimes you will write more than 30 or 40 pages, but you can't pass the subject because we are going to give specific formats to fill during the exam. If you fail to do it, then that means you don't have capacity to answer. Because of that, try to adjust it. The entire paper will come in like that. Most of the, not the entire paper, most probably 50 to 60% of the paper is like that. It will be given some tables. You are required to fill it. It is not required to write any more information. Right? Shall we see the table they have given for this protection? Step of the Six Sigma process. Step of the Six Sigma process. There are 5 steps. You are required to write what are those steps. Right? One by one, we are required to write the steps. Brief description of each step. Brief description of the steps. What is that step? What is the purpose of that step? Name of the step. Purpose of the step. Then what you are going to do is you are going to apply that step to the given scenario. Then you are required to write those information under the third column. First column, just name the step. Second one, briefly explain this, brief description, what is that step. First step is define, then what is it? You have to write it. What is the purpose of define? Then how we are going to apply to the given situation. It is under the third one. Likewise, you are required to write the answer for it. Shall we go and see how to do it? This is the first step. Define. Second step, measure. Now we are going to fill one by one. All right. Here you are required to write what is it, name of the step. If you fail to write, that you will lose some marks. All right. Then brief decision. Clearly define the problem and the goal for improvement. Then you have here you have a problem, and in addition to that, what you are going to do is you are going to write the goal of the improvement. Identify the scope of the project and who are the key stakeholders. Those are the main area that we are going to cover under the define. Clearly define the problem, because without defining the problem very much clearly, you don't have a chance to address it. Then we are at the same time, this is the problem, you are going to improve it. No, then what you are going to do is you are going to set the goals for it. All right. Identify the scope of the project and the key stakeholders. What is the scope of this and the key stakeholders of this? Now we are going to write the application to the scenario. All right. This is totally dependent on your memorizing capacity and explaining capacity. Now you are going to apply it, right? That is the third one, because you are in a last year student. Application to overcome the issue. Define the problem as the inconsistency in the hiring process across the department. That is that lead into the turnover rates and bias. That is the problem. Because of the inconsistency of the hiring process, that increase the employee turn. That is the problem. Inconsistency in hiring process across the departments. It is clearly mentioned with your scenario, case study, that is leading to high turnover rates and bias. Those are the things. Some are bias, some are very inconsistency process, because of the turnover also increase. That is our problem. Set the goal to standardize the hiring process. Improve quality of new hires and enhance the diversity and inclusions. Our ultimate target is to standardize the hiring process, improve the quality of new hires. That is ultimate target, no? Because we can standardize the process. After standardized process, if it is not possible to recruit quality hires, we don't have a chance to create a quality hires, there is a problem. And enhance the diversity and inclusions. Those are clearly mentioned with your case study that we are right to hear. Step number 2. That is measure. Define is the first step. Second one is a measure. What is the brief description of the measure? Collect data related to the hiring process variations. You are required to recognize the variations of the hiring process. For that, you are required to collect the data. Turnover rates, quality of the new hires, and instance of bias. Identify key metrics to quantify the extent of the problem. We are going to get the call it quantitative data to quantify the problem. That is a measure. How to do it with this scenario? Measure the variation in the hiring process by analyzing the steps followed, interviews methods, and criteria used. Measure the variance in hiring process by analyzing the steps, because you know there are a number of steps that we are required to follow during the hiring process. Interview methods, there are a number of interview methods that can be used for the stressful interviews, close interviews. At once we can interview more than one candidate, like different methods the different people can use, no? And criteria are used to measure the quality, to select the people. Then only we are going that organization should know, because different people has practice different methods. Now what we are going to do is we are going to recognize what are those practices, what are the steps that they have followed, what are the interview methods they have used, what are the criteria that they have used to select the person. In some cases, you can see there is no criteria for the selection. Based on just bias, they have selected the people. Collect data on turnover rates. That is the one side. Then again, you are going to see collect the data on turnover rates and quality of the new hires. Because whatever the method, there are a number of you can measure the percentage of the quality hires, the turnover rates with the different departments. Identify instances of bias through the feedback and assessments. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to collect the data about the relevant process. Then it should be matched with the given scenario, right? That is the second step. First step is define. Now we explain the second step, that is measure. Now we are going to discuss the third step, analyze. Now, first of all, we define the problem. Secondly, we collect the data. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to analyze that collected data. Data collection is not enough, because it is very much important to analyze it. If it is not just data, we are required to convert those into the information that then only we can make a decisions. Right? Now, under the third one, what we are going to do is we are going to analyze the collected data. Analyze the collected data to identify root causes. Right? We are going in depth to recognize root causes of the inconsistency and bias. Why it is happened? What is the main reason for the inconsistencies and the bias? You can use the root causes analysis, then why method for that. Use those two, use tools like process mapping, Pareto chart, data analysis for pinpoint problem areas. Then in addition to, because we are required to recognize the vital point of it, then we can use process mapping. You have already learned it. Pareto charts, you know that what it is. Right? I am not going to explain what are those, how to apply it. Those are the tools that people are using: cause and effect diagram, by tools, Pareto charts, process mapping, to recognize the problem areas. Then only you can see the real picture of it. Define, measure, analyze. How now we are going to we are required to present how we are going to use those with your given scenario. Analyze the find patterns and trends. Analyze the data to find patterns and trends, identify the department with the most inconsistent bias practices, because different department use different practices. Then you are required to recognize who are the most biased people on bias-born practices, understand factors contributing to the bias and turnover rates. Understand factors contributing to bias and turnover rates, such as lack of standardized criteria, bias turnover interview questions, and inconsistent evaluations. Likewise, you are required to present your practical scenario. The fourth level. First, define, measure, analyze, and the fourth level is improve. After analyzing, you can recognize the main points that main problem areas. Now we are going to improve the process, develop and implement solutions to address the root causes. If you are going to address all the problems, sometimes it is not sufficient, because can you remember that under the Ishikawa diagram and the Pareto diagram, what we are going to do is we are going to recognize the root causes. At once we can't see it, then using that cause and effect diagram, by technique, Pareto tools, Pareto diagram, we can recognize the root causes of it. Then, based on that, develop and implement solution to address root causes. Now we have recognized the root causes. Now we are going to address the root causes. Design a standardized hiring process. That is the problem here. We have to introduce a very standardized hiring process with a clear criteria and evaluation methods. No one can deviate. Every organization, every department, every hiring managers are required to practice the same process. Required to practice the same process. Provide training for hiring, that has to be done. Improve the processes. You are required to conduct some processes. Unbiased interview techniques. And the application, design the standard hiring process that outlines the specific steps, evaluation criteria, and interview techniques to be followed by the uniformly across the departments. It can then only that the department can't deviate from the entire organization is going to practice a one recruitment method. Provide training to hiring managers to increase the awareness and biasness of the increase the interview skills. It has to be done within the process. This is the fifth step, control. That is the final step of it. Implement the control to sustain the requirement. Monitor the hiring process regularly and using the key metrics. Set up a feedback loop for continuous improvements. Implement control to sustain the new. Then now we have recognized, we have analyzed, and we have designed the improvement things. Then it is required to implement and do the controls. Time to time, it is required to monitor for the further improvements. Under the third one, how to apply to the scenario, implement the standardized hiring process throughout the company, monitor and measure the inconsistent bias reductions and turnover rates, establish regular audits to ensure the adherence to the process, collect the feedback from the hiring managers and candidates to identify new challenges and opportunities for the further developments. This is the answer that we are expecting from you. Shall we go for another fiction? Read it carefully. I'll give you minutes. Then after that, what we are going to do is, I'm going to discuss the fiction with you. You are required to do some homework. It is better, then only you can get understand whether your level is matched with the requirement or not. Then only you can further work for the day, for the work for the development of your knowledge, right? The management of the TSL is highly concerned about the number of complaints received from customers in order to initiate corrective measures. First, they want to recognize the most critical problems. The management has assigned this task to you. Below the customer complaint form that the hotel is currently using for the gather information. The management of the TSL view is highly concerned about the number of complaints received from the customers. Right? That is the issue. They want to find answer for it. Not only that, now they are going to request our support for that because they have appointed one manager to do it. I believe they didn't do it well. Shall we go and see? They want to correct those issues. This is the customer complaint form that they have developed. Please go through that carefully. You are required. Basically, it is better to read the question and come back to it. This is the leaflet sufficient. Is this leaflet is sufficient? Right? They are going to ask that data collection complaint form is sufficient. If it is adequate, justified. If it is sufficient, then you are required to justify by given reasons. If not, if not, give reasons. In a both hand, you have to sometimes by after reading the after evaluating the given complaint form, you can come into the it is required to come into the decision whether it is sufficient or not. Then we have to write yes, it is sufficient. Those are the reasons, right? Second, no, it is not sufficient for that purpose. You can go any number of assumptions, right? It is not a problem because when we concern about the scenario, everything that we are required is not provided. Because of that, in some cases, it is required to use some assumptions. At the time we are going to develop the answer. There is no restriction for that. Throughout the entire paper, if it is a scenario-based questions, at the time you are going to answer the scenario-based cases, no, you can use the assumptions. Right? If it is required, by using the unnecessary assumption, you can't deviate from the actual issue, right? Be careful, you can use. Here, what is the problem? Is this leaflet sufficient to get the information? Then we have to evaluate the given form, and it is required to decide whether it is adequate or not. It is not enough. Then after that, because you are a manager, then you are required to say those are the reasons for my justification, right? If you are not satisfied this, then you have to mention the reason for the dissatisfaction. It is not enough. Then you are required to prepare suitable complaint form. If you are a manager, then anyone can find faults. But the problem is no one can create a new one. No one majority of them don't have capacity to do corrections and come with the solutions. Everyone is going to criticize. But the problem is, as a manager, you are required to do the developments. If you are recognized this complaint form is not suitable, then what you are required to do? You have to say, I'm not satisfied with use current complaint form because those are the reason for my dissatisfaction. Under this background, now I am going to propose a one. Under that complaint form, you will cover up the issues that you have mentioned. Right? It is required. You are mentioning something, but at the end you have prepared a one. You cannot to be covered the given issues. There is no point. Justify the need of these proposals. You have to justify why it is required. What is the process that you are going to use to develop it? Sometimes you can present not only the one form, more than one form. One for the information gathering, next one for the official use. If you can do it, it is better because at the moment they have just used one form. Check whether it is enough to recognize the root causes, most influential factors to the problem. If it is not, as a manager, you are required to cover up that all. That is the first question. Second one, what is the proposed method for analyzing information? Here, they have used a form. It is almost a check sheet. It's a check sheet. We are using check sheet for data collection. We are using check sheet for data collection, not for data analysis. It is required to recognize what are the tools required to analyze this issue. Then you are required to write down the steps. Here, we are not required to prepare those because here there is no information to do it. However, you should have capacity to say those are the steps that I am going to follow to find answer to the problem. Okay, now I am going to give 8 minutes to evaluate the check sheet. Then after that, we can start our discussion. analyze from the top to bottom. Here, some are relevant information, some are not. However, it is up to you. You are required to decide what are the relevant information and not. Someone can argue that there is no requirement to prepare a new form. It is required to add an additional form for the office use. Someone can argue that it is unnecessary because it has inefficiently used the stationaries. It is required to prepare it again. They have used here for the only for the company name, they have used unnecessary space. Likewise, those are minor issues. Don't go, it is required to address, but as a manager, first of all, you are required to think about the critical issue that we are required to find answer. Remind your objective and work with it. Someone say, here we just mentioned that customer complaint form. No, it is not suitable for that. It is required to convert into the customer suggestion form. Those are minor issues. First of all, you are required to recognize the purpose of collecting data. Then only you can see whether it is matching the requirement or not. There is no one correct answer for the case studies. As a manager, if you are going to give one answer, if there is a one answer for the each and every this type of questions, each and every organization will perform the same way. The businesses that has started at the same period have performed in different way throughout their life. After some period, when we evaluate the background, some have come up to the highest standard, but some are not. Some are struggling to survive, some are performing very well. That's depend on the manager's decisions. The manager's decision critical influence for that. If they are work under the same environment, their strength, weaknesses, opportunities are same, then the most critical factor is the level of managerial capacity to make correct decisions. You also, based on your capacity, you are going to give answer. It can be different one person to one person. Only the thing, it should be, your answer should be come within a logical manner. Evaluate the question. I believe now you have go through top to bottom, it's carefully. Now the time. To remind the background notes before enter the question. Here you know that they have prepared a check sheet to collect the data. There are different number of check sheets. Different number of check sheets. Then we should have idea how to prepare it. What are the elements that we can, what are the ingredients that we can put into that form to make it in a logical and useful manner. Because of that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind those check sheets before enter the final answer. Shall we start to discuss the background of the problem? Description linked with the check sheet. If I give some information, you will prepare a check sheet. Here the problem is you are required to prepare a check sheet. You are not a clerical man. You are a manager. Then you should have capacity to draw a suitable one that can fulfill the organizational requirement. First of all, what you are required to do, you are required to analyze the given form, whether it's matching the requirement or not. If it is okay according to your justifications, you can proceed further and say the steps that you are required to do. If it is not, you can throw it away and prepare a new one. There is another solution. It is in the middle of the accept or reject. Totally, it is in the middle. You have to do the alternation to prepare a good one, to get maximum results from the viewer sheet. As I mentioned, you have to think about the major issues and the minor issues. You are required to answer the major issues and the minor issues both. You have to recognize what are the major issues, which is depend on the objective. You can prepare a very nice sheet, but it cannot be fulfill the requirement purpose of the collection of the data. Then finally there is no outcome, right? That's because first of all, it is required to answer the problem that you are going to answer. Second one is the development of the suitability of the size, the paper size, the necessary information, and then you have to decide it. But you are, as a manager, not only the major issues, but all the minor issues also should be covered, right? Here, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to discuss the more, remind, not the discuss. I'm not going to discuss each and every point. There is no requirement because I have done the session. Not like singular students, we have everything covered for you. Because of that, I'm not going to mention everything. You are required to go and see your previous videos, and then you can gather the relevant information required to answer. Here, just what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind the four type of question check sheets. Then for what I'm going to do is you are required to recognize what is the most appropriate, most suitable check sheet for my purpose. Right? Yeah, there are 4 to 5 methods. No? Then you have to go through those things. You are required to develop one that it is more suitable to one. If it is not, you are required to think which one. First of all, you should recognize what type of check sheets they have using at the moment. They have used at the moment. Right? You should have idea about it, no? Then only you can go ahead. Sometimes because you know that not like Pareto Ishikawa diagrams, here you have a freedom. For what? You can amalgamate more than one or two special features that I am going to explain under the different sheet. You can develop your own one. There is no restriction for that. Only the thing it should be matching your requirement. Then only you can design one by combining those 1 or 2 or 3 all together. No problem. Okay. Number 1, process probability distribution sheet. Here we are going to use this to recognize the preliminary frequency distribution data. That means you can get count for the each and every factor or levels. Here they have concerned only one. They have just considered one factor. It is run with the production. You can see the production, right? Oh, then it can be used in the service. It will be. Think about the delivery time of the process. Then you can use with it. You suppose you have decided to deliver your process within 30 minutes. Okay, to 30 minutes. Sometimes you will take more than 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Sometimes you will deliver that within a 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like that. Right? The providing, when we concern about the providing services, there is no minimum time requirement for that. However, we have a maximum, we have set the maximum time if it is required to deliver within that period, like that. Then what you are going to do is you are going to write down the time that you have used for the each and every time. Then you can draw a chart from 0 to, suppose you are required to deliver it within 45 minutes, then you are going to write 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 25, 30, like this, under one. You can divide into the baskets. Then after that, what you are going to do is you are going to check with the each and every delivery of the process the time taken for that. You are required to record the time taken for each and every one. Then you can, based on that information, you can develop this. That means it can be used for the production and services both. Most probably we can see it with the businesses. But think about the hospital under this current COVID situation. They wants to, that patient don't like to stay within the hospital premises long period of time, right? That because it is badly affected to the outdoor patient services. At the moment, they are searching a new methods to provide it. Then then suppose that the hospital decide to promote one method within 45 minutes, because they are going to say the appointment time. From that point to 45 minutes, they are going to provide the service. If it is not, they are going to provide the service free of charge. They are going to provide the service free of charge. Under this scenario, as a quality manager, as a manager, what we are required to do is, it is feasible or not. Anyone can present this type of strategies, this type of new tactics to attract customers. But if it is not feasible, final outcome is you will lose the income, because if you are not if you are not capable to provide the service within that specific period of time, then it is required to return the money. Then how can you recognize whether you have a capacity to do it within that period of time? It's a one question that I ask for the internal students. What are the steps that you are required to cover to find answer with the facts, not the based on personal opinion? Not the based on the personal opinion. How can you do it? First of all, it is required to collect the data, as I mentioned, with the delivery time how many minutes they have wait for them to get the service from the doctor. Then it is required to record from the appointment time to the time he or she enter the doctor's consultation room. First of all, it is required to record. It should be from the sufficient number of people. Then after that, it is required to calculate the mean of it. That is the first step. Secondly, you are required to calculate 3-level standard deviation to recognize upper level and the lower level. Here also you can see our specification level and the lower specification level. It shows the minimum time that you can recognize this, how many minutes they have taken to provide the service, at least minimum time requirement. The minimum time they have wait. The maximum time they have spent on the waiting list, right? If you have taken 3 standard deviation, that is the standard. If you are not capable to provide within that period, then there is no point to set this type of strategies, right? Then after that, now you have a mean and the 3 standard deviation levels, right? Then the time period it is required to put by considering the time from the lowest time to highest time that they have actually taken, it is required to structure design separate bins like mentioned here. You can see that also here you can see a bins. Then after that, based on you have to put that each and every, you have to calculate, put into the each and every time taken is required to put into that baskets. Now, based on that, you can get the frequency of the each bin. Using that information, you are required to prepare that histogram. Then you can see whether that all time taken by the time taken for the each and every patient within that lower limit and upper level. If it is in between the lower level and upper level, then you can recommend that proposal. If it is not, by considering that data, you can set the targets. If not, we are required to take corrective actions of the process to minimize that time. Then after that, it is required to recheck, recollect the data and draw it and see. Now, whether it is within the lower level and upper level, then only you can go with it, right? It is additional information. Think about it. You have a notes. Please go through those and learn about it. It is very much important for you. Here also you can see a standard deviation, frequency of the distribution. By just reviewing that, you can recognize that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of those samples were not in that specific limitations. 4 lower the specification level. Another 6 has gone up to the upper limitation level. That means that process is out of control. Not only that, here you can see whether it is normally distributed or not. What's the skew of it? You have to focus on the basic information first of all. It should be matched with your requirement. This is the main requirement. Those are the additional information it is required to recognize from where do you collect the data, when do you collect the data, who is the operator of the time, right? Those are the additional information. Those are the information you are required to take a decision. Mainly, this is the those are the factors we are going to consider: upper level and the lower level. Those are out of control. Here you can see visual presentation. When we go through that our section here, they just based on that you can get you don't have a chance to see visual presentation. Here they are going to show a visual presentation. Can we use it? That is the thing. You have to think about it. Whether I can use this with the with my form, it is required or not. Because it should be matched with the requirement. If it is not, there is no purpose to use it. By using that, at a glance, you can recognize whether it is in control or out of control. What is the mean? It is skewed to the one direction or not. Likewise, based on that, you can take lot of at a glance, you can get lot of information. However, whatever that decision is highly depend on, because I am going to say it is out of control. Based on the higher level and lower level limitation that the organization set. If it is incorrect, everything is every decision is incorrect. First of all, what they have to set the lower level and upper level after doing homework, lot of activities by collecting sufficient data. Based on that data that is required to recognize upper level and lower level, right? It is the most important. Under the quality control, statistical quality control, I believe we have learned that all. How to make it, how to decide the upper level and lower level. Okay. This is number 2, defect type sheets, classifications. First of all, it is better to go through with this given example. Here also they have mentioned the reasons. Here also you can see they have mentioned the reasons. Right? In our case, it has also mentioned the reasons. Right? That can be used, isn't it? Yes, we can go with it up to some extent. But is it required to get this type of information? Can you use a one sheet for each and every customer? Can you use the same one sheet to gather each and every customer? You can, if you can keep it in your hand, but if you are going to ask question from your customer, then it's okay, but it is possible in a restaurant or hotel. Is it possible to do it in your hospital, restaurant or hotel? If you are going to ask this type of question, that means you are going to disturb your visitor. Do they happy to that type of disturbances? Do they happy to face this type of disturbances? No, they don't like. Then, yeah, it is better to keep in their rooms You have required to prepare that is a general awareness. You can prepare a sheet and keep there with their rules. At the time they are going to leave, you can politely ask and fill that form for the further development. So we are going to do some further developments. Because of that, we want to know whether you are satisfied or not. What are the areas we are lacking with? Kindly mention it. Likewise, you can go with it at the end of the service, not in the middle. If they are hurried to go, you don't have a chance to collect the data. They will just fill something and give you. Then everything depends on how we are going to apply it. Here we are not going to discuss the tool. Think about whether it is possible to use this or not. Here we don't have capacity to use this, but this part is okay. Likewise, we can see the same thing. Defect type sheet. It's helped to categorize them according to the factors like defect type or frequency of occurrence. Here they got a chance to recognize the frequency, number of times. Here you can see. Here you can see that. Not only that, based on the dates also they can recognize. How many here per day total. Again, you can see number of reason per each and every day. 30, 12, 6, 10. Those are that this line provide that information. Okay. Because it shows the frequency. It shows the frequency. It is easy to understand. You use for the statistical tools because they have already given the frequency of the problem. Then based on that, you can go for the further analysis. That's why here for the wrong telephone numbers 20 times, information request 10 times, call from bosses 19. Like here you can see disturbance interruptions for the telephone conversations. Based on that, they can go for they can prepare a check Pareto diagram. Then they to get further analysis to recognize the root causes, they can go with cause and effect diagram. Likewise, they can go in depth to recognize the issues. Right? Shall we go for the third one? Defect location sheet. At the time you visit, I think everyone has this type of experience who are working in that manufacturing fields with the production. I believe they have already have experience. If you have, sometimes you have a motorcycle or whatever the vehicle if you have, then you are the person who are going to you are the person who are bring this your vehicle for the service or repairs. At the time that one officer from that service center will come with this type of sheet and go around the vehicle with you and observe the damages of the vehicle. They will mark it and get your signature to the sheet to confirm the prior damages of the vehicle before get into the vehicle to their garage or their service center. Isn't it? Can you remember? Here, what is the benefit is they are going to mark the defect points. Specifically on tracking the location that different defects occur. So here you can see that they have marked the points. Here. Those are the points, special points there it is required to do the repairs. Here you can see they have used different symbols for the different type of defect. Based on that, they mark the front sides and side and back side. What are the damages? What are the corrective points that they have answered? For the quality assurance, they are going to use for the use this for the quality assurance. For the purpose is different, but we can apply the same type of sheets for the data collection. Can we use this type of one for the our purpose? Yes, it shows a current picture of the situation of the product or product, but we cannot. Do we have a capacity to use this type of pictures, drawings with our check sheet? Is it a requirement? Do they have a capacity to fulfill our requirement? If not, there is no purpose to use it. Defense code sheet. It has gone in depth of the issue. Not only recognize the one factor within a short period of time, it has addressed a number of causes. Defect cause sheet. It is going to use to identify causes of the problem or defect. Almost like that. It is something like equal to that cause and effect diagram. You can see that they have recognized the problems. They have gone in depth and recognized what are the factors that influence. In the one hand, they have checked with the operators the time period they are going to use for the operation and the machine they are going to use for the operation. Based on that, by using different ways, different combinations, they are going to recognize. They are going to recognize what is the most influential type. Here you can see that the operator B when operator B is working in the evening time with the machine 2, shows the highest number of defects. However, that same person who are working in the morning session with the machine 2, same machine generate lower number of defects. When we concern about the operator number 1, operator A, he also shows at the time he is going to work in the afternoon, they can see that higher number of defects in the afternoon session. Likewise, we can generate lot of information. Then we can recognize here, machine 2 has some problems because the same operator work in the other machine, they are working significantly better than the afternoon session. Right? That type of information can be get from this type of sheet, defect sheet. However, it is depending on the requirement. Can we use this type of defect code sheet for our requirement? Can we get some information in from that? Right, go for the fourth one. Yes, this is the fourth one. Okay, those are the information. now it is required to go again to our question and evaluate. Now we have refined our knowledge. Based on that, by amalgamating or by using a one sheet, one method, we can design a one. Oh, it is fulfilled by the existing sheet. Go and see that. Yes, now you can see, you can evaluate you have a idea about that four types of check sheets. Now what we are going to do is, that means not the four types, it can be divided into different types of check sheets. Here we just discuss the four types by considering those updated knowledge. Can you evaluate this? What is our purpose? Just to recognize the customer complaint areas, or finally it is required to find the root causes to give solutions, for the upgrade the service. Yes, that is the requirements. Just to recording the information is not enough. Where it is required to recognize what are the critical factors that influence for the problem, and that is also not enough. Then after that, as a manager, but it is required to know the root causes for the issues. Then only we can give the answer. Based on that, it is required to provide the answers. It is the ultimate target of it, right? Then the form should be matched with it. In addition to that, it is required to think about how to present it, how to recognize those specific areas. Those are important. The balance part is the minor ones: the size of the trademark of the sheet, the name of the customer complaint with name of the sheet. But it is required to get the customer's name, date of the departure, date of the complaint. We have to think about that all. In addition to that, here you can see that you have mentioned here, it has mentioned, please give detail for the complaint. If he is not satisfied with the entire services or majority of the services that provided by the hotel, can he write down everything here? We will write the major issue. Detail about the major issue, not everything. Right? It is required to get signed by the in charge. Is it a requirement? It is required to give this type of space for that. It is almost like a A4 sheet. It is required to use this type of paper for it. Likewise, number of issues, those are secondary, not the primary issues. First of all, it is required to think by the manager, if it is the long-term use sheet by the hotel, how do they recognize that complaints? First of all, I have to say that I am not agree with this form. It is required to develop, not to reject entire sheet. It is required to develop. I am in the middle, not to reject or accept it. All right? I'm not going to reject or accept it. It is in the middle. There are some positive factors and the negative factors. Positive factors is here, they have used, they have recognized some factors relevant to the relevant areas of they have to address. But I don't know whether they how do they recognize those. If it is not, if they didn't follow a proper method to recognize those, the ultimate results, sometimes a final outcome cannot be find the real reason behind it, dissatisfaction. Then first of all, what's the main requirement is, first of all, it is better to conduct primary survey. What are the areas required to address? By considering the other organizational check sheets, the way that they have collected the data, you can discuss with the friendly visitors or some visitors who are highly angry with us to get some information. Based on that, it is better to recognize the areas it is required to add into that check sheet. Right? Then only we can think whether we can address to the problem. Secondly, it is not required to allocate some more space for the that logo. We can put into the watermark also. Then we can eliminate. We can use that space. Customer complaint form. It is a negative. If you believe it is a negative word, you can use the customer suggestions forms. Customer satisfaction form without using the complaint word. Then after that, it has mentioned the statement where it is okay if you are not satisfied. If you are satisfied, they will try. Yes, I am satisfied. They will throw it. Kindly give your suggestions for the improvements. Right? Not to write negative statement at the beginning. It is not required to get customers' name. They are not like to write it. You will write incorrect names, and sometimes at the time they are going to enter the hotels, they will give in. They are reluctant to give their names, correct names in some cases. Then how can you get the correct information from that? Date of complaint is okay. Then you can recognize the time period it's happened. Here you have used just you are going to ask the tick to the dissatisfaction ones, but here there is no chance to recognize the level of dissatisfaction or satisfaction with each. Because of that, it is if I am the person, I am going to use a scale from the highly satisfied or highly dissatisfied. Then each and everyone, they can mark the level of it. Based on that, I am going to count the frequencies. Secondly, based on that, I am going to count the frequencies. First of all, what I am going to do is I am going to recognize the real reasons. I don't know which one is the most influential. It is up to the it is a part of the data collection and analysis, right? Then after that, with the each, I am going to categorize those into the restaurant, hotel, room, and out in atmosphere environment likewise. Then it is easy to because if we categorize, put into the one basket, in future also it is very much beneficial. At the time we are going to analyze it. Front office services, then the reception, then the housekeeping, then the room services, the environmental issues, right? Likewise, we can categorize those things. We don't want to show the categorization, but if set according to the one logical sequence, it is better for the further analysis. Here you can't see that. Here one guest can take each and every one, but you don't know what is the level of it, the level of the satisfaction or dissatisfaction. It is better to know, because then only you can address the most influential factors, most critical factors. Because of that, what I am going to suggest, I am going to use one scale, whether it is highly satisfied or dissatisfied. Then I am going to convert that statement. Quality of good is very quality of the good. I am satisfied with the quality of the goods. If I ask that type of question, then yes or no, no. Because I have to convert into the Likert scale statement, then only we can get better results from it. The food is very much delicious. Then they will say whether it is okay or not. Room services, if the room boys are providing very good room service, highly satisfied or dissatisfied, then only that statement match with the scale. Likewise, it is required to turn. During the exam, if it is difficult to write each and everything, write some examples. It is more than enough. I am not going to evaluate each and every statement that you have written. Right? It is not required. Then if it is required, you can keep some areas for the highly positive factor and highly negative factor. Right? Highly dissatisfied areas and highly dissatisfied areas. Reason for it. Then only that is more than enough for the sheet. Right? Likewise, you can get maximum results. It is required to think about get maximum results from it. This is my way of thinking. It is not, sometimes it's not matched with your decision, your way of thinking. Based on that, you can go ahead. Right? There is no correct answer or wrong answer. Everyone has some arguments that provide it. Go with it. Second question is, what's the second question? What is the proposed method to analyze the information? Then after that, it is required to prepare a separate sheet to get the frequencies. It is required to provide separate sheet to get the frequencies. It is very much important. Go ahead. Here we have used scale, right? By using the scale for the highly satisfaction, we are going to give a 5 marks. For the highly dissatisfaction factors, we are going to give a 1 mark. Highly satisfied, 5, satisfied 4, average 3, dissatisfied 1, 2, highly dissatisfied 1. Likewise, I am going to give marks. Based on that, I am going to enter their level of satisfaction, put it in another sheet and calculate the total. Right? I'm going to take those final total as the frequency of each and every one. Now I have that table. That is the first part. Right? Second part. What is the proposed method or methods to analyze the information? At the time, you can see that you can decide you can go for the next first step. That is a Pareto analysis. You can go for the Pareto analysis to recognize what are the highly influential factors. You can recognize the highly influential factors. How Pareto analysis help to recognize 20 factors that influence for the 80% of the problem. Then in other words, if we find answers for that 20%, it will help to overcome to give answer 80% of the problem. That means it is going to show the critical areas that it is required to address, but it doesn't show the main root causes for it. Right? It shows the critical areas you are required to address. Now you are required to address, but you are the person who it is required to address. You must address, then it is not enough. You have to go in depth of it. For that, you are required to use cause and effect diagram. Cause and effect diagram. Then you are going to use cause and effect diagram. Cause and effect diagram will help you. Not only that, it is not just to prepare the cause and effect diagram. You are required to use YY technique to go in depth and recognize what are the root causes of the issues. Then after that, you have a root causes for the issues. Sometimes very few issues you can find. If you give the answer for those issues only, you can overcome the issue, overcome the problem. Because of what are the steps? Get the frequencies from the table, prepare a Pareto chart, recognize highly influential factors. For the each and every factor, it is required to prepare a Pareto diagram. For that, you are required to conduct meetings with the relevant parties and recognize you conduct that specific brainstorming sessions and give opportunity to each and everyone to contribute for the job. It is required to get their ideas. Based on that, we are required to prepare cause and effect diagram with the support of YY technique. Then only you can recognize the root causes. Then after that, as a manager, you must answer the root causes of the issue. You are required to write those steps. This is the second step of the question. Okay, then you can draw something. What is it? It is not required to write. Don't forget, it is not required to write. It is not required to write theoretical back information. I'm not going to give any marks for the theoretical explanations. Just show how we are going to use. That is the way. Okay. Now we are going to the next section. Okay, dear students, shall we move to the next section? Here you can see the flowchart. Flowchart. The ultimate expectation is to issue correct bills to the correct customer's hand. Correct bill to the correct customer's hand at the correct time. That is the ultimate target. But they fail to do it. Here they have mentioned this just flow chart. It shows the steps they follow under the process. You can see the steps, start point and the end point. Right? Start point and the end point. Decision making point, stores, right? Look, everything is here. Not the decision making points, the store that keeping where they keep these documents and everything is there. Now they want to recognize the issues, to recognize the root causes for the failures. It is required to recognize the root causes for the failures. They requested to prepare cause and effect diagram and the YY method to recognize the root causes for the each effect. And additionally, they have mentioned that you can go for any additional information, additional assumptions. You can write anything that you can believe can be put into that framework as a causes. It is up to you. If you are not practically experienced this type of situations, you are running with the issues because each and everyone doesn't have a knowledge about those processes. Because of that, it is something difficult during the exam. Therefore, I am not going to ask this type of question by using unfamiliar processes. Right? That means I can use to give this type of question by using a familiar process. Preparing a cup of tea. Wrote down the process flow chart and go for the root causes for the delay the tea. Why it is delay? Why it is not? Generally, it is required to provide with. Suppose it is required to provide within 5 minutes. Unfortunately, you have taken 15 minutes to deliver it. Because of that, customer does not satisfy. Customer does not satisfied with your service. To recognize the root, the process, you have drawn this. The first step is it will ask to draw the diagram. Another example, the COVID vaccination program. You have already experienced it. Each and everyone has experienced it. Can you draw down the process? There are a number of steps that you follow to get that. Because of that, you know the steps they have. I'm not going to check the quality of the injection and so on. How to keep those things? No, not you are as just patient that one customer entered the queue. From that point to the after waiting 20 minutes after injection, he's going to check whether you are okay and then you can go out from that point. Can you draw down the process with the steps, with the decision box, with the start point and end point? You can do it. If I ask this type of process flow chart, you can make it. It is practically, it is not a new thing. What you are going to do is you are going to use some symbols to convert it to the decision process steps of the divide it to the entire process, the sub processes, and recognize the relationships. You are going to get money from the ATM. If I ask to write down the process, there are a number of steps that you are required to follow. There are a number of decisions you are required to take within the short period. I can give this type of question. Sometimes I will draw a one and will ask to go in depth by using a cause and effect diagram, like here, to recognize the root causes. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind how to prepare the cause and effect diagram by using the by method. It is very much important decision-making tool. Shall we go and see the steps? Before that, I will give 3 minutes to understand the process and then write down the example that I have given. Okay, that is enough. Okay, shall I give another 1 minute to go ahead? It is very much familiar because we have discussed during the sessions. What are the steps that we are required to follow? Step number 1. First of all, it is required to recognize the effect. It can be a positive one or negative one. What's the meaning of it? For the positive effect also we can make it. For the negative effect also we can use for it. Yes, what are the example for it? Can you give example for it? If I ask positive effect and draw it, get a good results for the TQM subject. A pass for the TQM subject is the effect. What are the causes? Then you can draw it. Negative one, you fail to report at the correct time for the interview. What are the causes? You fail to answer the question during the interview. What are the causes? That means for the positive ones, also negative ones, you can make it. You can apply this method to recognize the root causes of it. We are using Pareto diagram just to recognize most influential factors. But it doesn't give any idea what are the root reason causes for it. That's why we ask after the Pareto diagram, it is required to prepare. You have to go for the cause and effect diagram to recognize the main reasons, most influential factors. To recognize most influential factors. Here, what we are going to do is they fail to submit the correct invoices at the correct time to the correct customer. That is the effect. At the time, first of all, what we are going to do is at the time we are going to draw it. We are going to draw horizontal arrow pointing to the right. That is the first step. We are going to call it spine. This is a spine of the fishbone diagram, Ishikawa diagram. This is another name we are using for the fishbone diagram for the cause and effect diagram. Another name is the Ishikawa diagram because he is the person who introduces. Ishikawa. Draw a horizontal arrow pointing to the right. This is the spine. We call it the spine, main spine of the spine of the Kodunarati. To the right, the arrow, write a brief description of the effect of the outcome. Fail to submit the assignment at the correct time. Forget to bring relevant documents for the interview. Take the COVID injection at the correct time. Government failed to get relevant injection at the correct time. Likewise, whatever the positive or negative effect you can add here. Then after that, draw a box around the description of the effect. It is better, no? But sometimes you are going to draw a box and try to write your effect inside that box. Sometimes it is very difficult to write everything, then some part of it is outside the box. Don't do it. Here you can say inaccurate submission of the bill to client. Inaccurate means they didn't provide correct bill to the client at the correct time with the correct information. It can be right with from the other side, positive side, also providing accurate bills to customers. Then we are going to find the reason behind it. Here we have written the negative side. That because we are going to find the negative effect causes that influence to that issue. This is the spine. This is the effect box. This is the part 1. Now we are going to the next step. Part 3. Step 3. Identify the main causes to the effect as being studied. Under the what you are going to do here, it is difficult to do alone. It is a group activity. During the exam also, I am not going to evaluate each and every item whether those are correct. If you are provide in a significant level in a correct manner, if it is at a satisfied level, I am going to give full marks. Right? Only the thing you should have to prepare in an attractive manner. Then only it will generate interest to read each and every one, to recognize your level of contribution. Right? Sometimes if it is not create interest, if it is very difficult to go through and recognize what you have written, it is automatically decrease the interest to read it. During the exam also, you are going to present your ideas to others' hand. It should be in a readable one. I am not going to think about your handwriting. It can be varied. Now you don't have a chance to change it. There's not a time to change your handwriting during the exam. But you are required to use, it is required to find suitable pen to write. If it is difficult to understand, at the time you are going to answer, you can use you can use some strategies too. During the presentation, you can use different strategies to get to present clear answer. It is important because at the time, in my experience, at the time you are going to draw something, we are very much careless, right? You want to present something, but if it is not readable, very difficult to understand. That's why you asked to write down the effect and draw a box around it. Right? I believe you got the message. Then after that, under the step number 3, what we are going to do, we are going to identify main causes contributing to the effect. Now what we are going to do is we are going to recognize main causes that contribute to the effect. For that, one method is we can use the standard methods. 3M and P method, material, machine, and people. 4Ps, policies, procedures, peoples, and plant, and environment. 5Ms, 8Ms. Likewise, you can go for that. However, in some cases, there is no way to use that standard methods to categorize causes into the different baskets, put into the different baskets. Then, then what it is required at the time you are going to design. Actually, you are going to identify the process. Normally, you are going to do a brainstorming session. During that, what you are going to do is you are going to give each and everyone to present their ideas. Then you are going to write down in a whiteboard or any other document that everyone can see. Any equipment that everyone can see the different people's ideas. I am here. I am not going to explain the how to conduct a brainstorming session. I believe I have mentioned that word number of times during the seminar. It is better to know it. It is a one method as a manager should know if you are going to practice the total quality with your career, right? Because of the not only that, there is a chance to ask during the exam also how to conduct a brainstorming session in effective and efficiently. Then you are required to write all the steps of the process, right? Here, what you are going to do is you are going to write down all the steps, all the issues recognized by each member of the meeting. Then after that, what we are going to do it by evaluating those after discuss with the people, you can recognize this given standard categorization. How you can use most appropriate, more suitable bins to put in each and every item. That is the way. There is no restriction for it. There is no restriction for it. Step number 3. Then after that, what we are going to do is, then now after categorizing those, we are going to write those categories in your that team has selected the left side of the effect box. Upside and the downside. You can use the both side up. Upside, some are upside of the spine, some are downside of the spine. Right? Not only that, at the time you are going to draw that arrows, it is keep in mind how many items you are going to present within that one branch. It should be in your mind. Think about whether I can present the entire Ishikawa diagram horizontally, or it is better to use the page vertically to present it. Right? There is no restriction. You can go in that way. Vertically or horizontally. Think first of all with the information it is required to recognize. Identify what is the most suitable. Then now here you can see that they have recognized people related issues, material related issues, method related issues, effects, and the machine related effects. Causes. People related causes, method related causes, material related causes, and the machine related causes. They have put into the 4 basket the identified issues, causes. Generally, they are going to say that some are relevant to some causes are related to the people, some causes related to the method, some causes related to the machinery, some causes related to the materials. What are those? Those are the main causes. Those are the main causes. Then, next step. For each major branch, identify other specific factors which may be the causes of the effect. You have already recognized causes. Now we are going to write down those. Under the people here, you have recognized two: ignorance of the people, workers, people fail to inform client through the email or calls. Those they fail, they ignore, they fail. Their ignorance is the one. Second one is they fail to inform that calls the message to the client by using their method. They have used the two methods, calls or emails. Under the material also, you can see two courses. No files for some clients, incomplete folders, and the wrong information in billing information systems. Those are another issue because of that the material are incorrect. At the same time, you can see with another two issues with the machinery. Another two issues with the methods. I am also going to advise it is not required to write large number of issues under the each main courses during the exam. Okay, during the exam, then it is very much hard to draw the diagram. This is not the last part of the cause and effect diagram. Here we didn't recognize the root causes. It is required to recognize root causes. That is our ultimate target. Recognizing root causes. Here just written the causes. We don't know why it's happened, why ignore, why people fail to inform. Why do they fail to inform it? Why do they have invalid list of updates? We don't know why the phone line disconnected time to time. Without knowing this, we don't have a capacity to overcome that issue. Why? Every time I am going to ask why? What has happened? Why unreliable mail systems? What is the erroneous? Why? What is the reason behind the erroneous sorting of billing statements? Likewise, lot of issues is here. We want to know. We want to know answers for it. Without knowing the answer for it, we can't find the solutions. Now, we are going to use why method. Go in depth of the issues. Go in depth of the issue. We are going to use why method to go in depth of the issue. What is why method? We are going to ask why questions again and again. We are going to ask why question again and again, go in depth of the problem. Pause. Here you can see one example. Sometime during the exam, it will ask, write this type of 1 or 2 or 3 examples. Then you are required to do it separately. Right? It is required to do separately in addition to the cause and effect diagram. Why effect? Example number 1, main cause, people recognize first line issue. Then you are right to answer ask the questions. Right? If it should be present in a readable way, easy to understand the examiner. Right? Here you can see it has asked 2 questions. Generally, if we ask 3 to 4 questions, automatically it's come to the final root cause. At the time we are going to ask 3 to 4 questions of why questions like small people. small kids. They are using Y questions 1,000 number of times per day to gather the information. Likewise, to find the root causes, we are going to ask why it's happened, why it's happened, why it's happened. Then only you can find the answer. Why is there an invalid list of updates? Because the data was mixed up. Why? Why was the data mixed up? There was a problem with the manual organization of the files. Why? There is a problem with the manual. Why is the problem with the manual organization of the files? Because there is no backup files. And since it was manually pre-arranged, inaccuracy is inevitable. But that is the reason that they have come into the final root cause of it. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to draw that YY steps here. You have answers for each Y question. There is a sequence of it. Here, this is the answer. This is the answer for the first one. Data mix up. The second one, second answer. This is the second answer, manual organization. Then third answer, no backup files. Right, likewise. You are required to go in depth. For the invalid updates. Mix up the data. Here you can see that. This is the point that they have developed the YY questions. Mix up the data is the answer. Invalid list of update. Mix up the data. Then what is the reason why it is happening? Inaccuracy of the sorting data. This is the answer for the second Y question. Manual file organization is the next answer. Next answer for the next Y question. Now you can see that we have used Y question again and again to find the root causes. Still we are waiting. Analyze the diagram itself to identify causes that are required to further investigation. See the balance of your diagram. Checking for comparable level of detail for the most categories. Then you can recognize. Here, reason is the manual file organization. You can see the same here. Here you can see the same issue. Manual file organization is the issue. Manual file organization is the issue. Manual file organization is the issue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you then your address, it is required to address that problem. Then only you can find answer the accurate submission of the billing client. If you give answer, you have introduced manual file organization for the system. It will eliminate the that number of issues like mix-up data, that is the one issue, first of all, you have recognized. Then the next one, unreliable mail system, that is the one that you have recognized. But you are not going to answer those. You are going to go in depth to recognize the real effect, root causes. For the third one, erroneous information of the business information systems, erroneous information in business information systems, then unreliable mail systems, associated record of billing statement in clients' folders. Everything related to that issue, manual file organization. In addition to that, you can recognize another one is a poor training, no training, the same thing, poor training. That means you are required to conduct good training programs to fulfill the requirements. Then it will eliminate the ignorance. It will eliminate the people fail to inform clients through the calls and emails. It will help to eliminate the phone line disconnected issues. Likewise, how to overcome those? By using a proper train. Here, at the beginning, to prepare this, you will have, at the beginning, you have 1,000, almost 8 issues. But by using that cause and effect diagram at last, you get an opportunity to answer 2 critical factors, manual file organization and the training. If you provide proper training programs to the staff, if you convert that manual file system into the computerized manual system or any other solution suggested by after evaluation further, that is the only way that you overcome it. See, you can, how you are required to present the, how you are required to present this this cause and effect diagram. Now, shall we move to the next section? What is this? This is a quality function deployment matrix. That is the way that one method that we can use to bring customers' voice to the product design. Because we know we are going to satisfy customers. My dear students, now we are going to join with seminar number 2 that I'm going to conduct under the subject of total quality management. I would like to say that this is not actually the second seminar. I'm going to continue the first seminar because can you remember that we have stopped this discussion in the middle of the one section, right? From that point, I'm going to start. There is no point to divide correctly into the 2 seminars. We are going to conduct one subject. Because of that, it is required to merge those 6 hours together. Then only you can get a better understand what are the areas that we have covered. Right, because we don't have paper number 1 and paper number 2 likewise, right? Therefore, I would like to request just after the reading watching the last part of the seminar number 1, you can jump into the seminar number 2. Okay. Shall we go for another fiction? Okay, my dear students. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to start the point that I have stopped during the session number 1, seminar number 1. We have discussed the problem, no? The role of the manager, what's the expectation of the top management. Now you have a data. Believe you are the manager. You are the manager, Mr. Manaskant. Now you are required to answer this. You can't bring the problems to the management. You have recruited to give answers to the problems. Right? They have assigned you to do a job. You didn't do it. You just file the collected information and keep it away. The problem is this: you didn't give any solution for the problems. Now, this is a second chance that you have. You are required to give an answer. It is a must. Then we discuss that. At a glance, you can see with the document, with the information, there's a chance to prepare a Pareto diagram and find the most critical factors that affect to the problem. Yes, it's a part of it, not the full answer for it. It's a part of it, not the full answer, total answer. You can get some marks, but not the total marks, because you are a failure, because you don't have capacity to give the. You have to give you don't have capacity to find solution for it. Right? That because it is very much important to know the relationship between the each and every quality tools. That means by using the quality tools, you are capable to give a appropriate, more suitable answer for the problem. Sometimes you have idea about the quality tools isolately, separately. As a one tool, you have a good idea, but it is not enough. As a manager, you should have capacity to recognize the relationship between the quality tools. If it is not, you can't find the root causes for it. Now we are in the middle because they have collected the information by using a check sheet, the form. Sometimes your management will ask to collect the data and analyze and find the solution. Then you are required to use one method to collect the data. That might be that is a check sheet. Then you are required to calculate the frequencies. Based on that, you are required to prepare a Pareto diagram. It is just help to recognize what are the main causes. It is not enough. As a manager, you are required to go further ahead. Then you are required to use Pareto diagram. You have already used Pareto diagram. It is not enough. Then it is required to use cause and effect diagram to find the root causes. Sometimes it is also not enough. Then it is required to use the process flowcharts to recognize the real issues. Then if you present just the diagram just based on those information, you will get just about 3 to 4 marks from the out of 20. First of all, what we have to do is we have to prepare the Pareto diagram. Right? Shall we go for it? Because first of all, we should know because as an organization, we don't have much more. Actually, we have limited funds. That may be because of that. First of all, what we have to do is we have to recognize the priority of the problems to what we are going to give the answer first. Without using the data, if you can use your gut feeling to give an answer for the problems. But the problem is sometimes you will give an answer. When we concern about the impact to the final outcome, it might be not significant. Then you have used your limited resources inefficiently and ineffectively. Because of that, what we have to do is we are required to recognize most appropriate, more suitable tool to identify what are the main root causes. Because we know that pattern diagram is going to help us to recognize most influential, most critical factors from number of issues. Right? Now your job is to prepare pattern diagram. Use it, draw a diagram. I will help you to step by step. I will help you to do it step by step. Okay, shall we start? First of all, you are required to write down the issues that they have given. They have recognized. In other words, the issues that you have recognized. Go and see quality of food, housekeeping, level of comfortability of the room, size of the bed, promptness, hospitality and behavior of the staff, free Wi-Fi facility, air conditioner, bad smell and unnecessary disturb from the staff. Right? Here, you can see hospitality and behavior of the staff is the number one. But when I'm going to put it to the table, I have used quality of foods as a number one. Housekeeping is the second one here, but according to this table, speed of the service is the second one. Speed of the service is the second one. See that that entire table, I didn't copy those information to my calculations. I have done some alternations. I have actually, it's the new way of arrangement. Here you can see just recognized issues without any order. Here we can develop an order based on the two items, no? Recognize the issue and the number of dissatisfaction. By using the recognized issue also, we can set order alphabetically. However, it doesn't create any value to my calculations. Then the second one, number of dissatisfaction. Here, first one 35, second one 55, third one 286, fourth one 165. Likewise, there is no order sequence, ascending or descending order. No, nothing. Because of that, I can't use those table directly to the calculations. I can't use this table directly for the calculations. Then, first of all, what I have to do? I have to prepare. I have to recognize the descending order of those items based on the number of dissatisfactions. This is the highest one. I'm going to say this is number one. This is the number two. Number three. Number four. Number five. Number six. Number seven. Sorry. I'm sorry. The 2, 3, 4. Then number 5, which one is the number 5? Number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, 10. Based on those sequence, that is the descending order. Quality of food with the quality of foods, 286 of them dissatisfied. With the housekeeping, 165 of them dissatisfied. With the level of comfortability of the room, 156 of them are dissatisfied. Likewise, then the speed of the operation, 55 of them are dissatisfied. Likewise, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to write those frequencies based on the highest one to lowest one. Here you can see that. Highest one to lowest one. Write down it. Right, I believe now we have done it. Second, shall we go to the third column? Okay, shall we go to the third column? Here you can see the accumulative figure up to that point. Cumulative figure up to now that point. First one, cumulative figure 286. It is equal to that because up to now that point. Then second one, you have to add 286 plus 165. Then you can get that 451. For the third one, it is required to add 156. It is required to add 156 to 451. Then you can find this answer. Likewise, again, you are required to add 85 to 607. Then you can get that 692. Right, okay. Fill that line. Finally, you will get 800 level. It is equal equal to sigma f is equal to sigma f. Don't forget it. Okay. The third step. Here we are going to calculate percentage. Before that, it is better to clear that all. Then now we are going to calculate that percentage. This one. Here we know total effects 800 sigma effects 800 level. Right? Now we are going to calculate how many of them are dissatisfied with the quality of the food from the total dissatisfaction. Right? Then what we are going to do is we are going to use this one as a, we are going to divide this one by total F sigma F. Right? Then you can get this answer. Likewise, can you calculate for the housekeeping? Can you calculate for level of comfortability of the room? Then next one, 165 divided by 811, 20% 0.3, 156 divided by 811, 19.2, 85 divided by 811, 10.5%. Likewise, you can calculate it. Please calculate and see whether I am correct. Okay. Then after that, it is required to calculate accumulative percentage. Can you do it yourself? Can you do it yourself? Here what we are, yes, wait for a while. Here what we are going to do, we have calculated the cumulative percentages. You can see percentages. This is the first one, cumulative percentage. Here what we have to do is we have to add those two. Then you can get 55.56. 0.6. Then third one, it is required to add those three. Then you can get this one, 74.8. Same thing you can get from by adding 19.2 to 50.5, 55.6, right? Likewise, please calculate those figures. Now you have done the first job. You have prepared the required table to draw the diagram, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to draw the diagram to recognize what are the most critical factors that influence the dissatisfaction with the hotel, right? Now what we are going to do is we are going to draw the diagram. First of all, it is required to draw the bar chart. Now I am going to use this. This is now you can see the diagram that I have drawn by using the given information. It has two steps. Under the first step, what you have to do is you are required to draw the bar chart by using the frequency of each factor. That means using those information. Those are the information that you are going to use to draw the bar chart according to the sequence of descending order. You are going to show the factors in this diagram. Here you can see the diagram, Pareto chart that I have prepared by using the information given by the scenario. All right. First of all, here you can see two types of chart. One is the bar chart. The second one is the line chart. First of to me, Pareto chart is a combination of the bar chart and line chart. First of all, what I am going to do, I am going to make that bar chart using the given information by the hotel. All right. For that, those are the information. Those are the information that I require to do it. Those are the information. According to the descending order, here also we are going to present. Here also we are going to present our bars from the highest bars to the lowest bar, right? First one is quality of foods. According to the information, 286 of them are dissatisfied with that service given by the hotel. In the same way, 165 of them are dissatisfied with the housekeeping, 156 of them dissatisfied with level of comfortability of room. Likewise, you can see the it is with the size of the bed from this. Likewise, you can see that I have drawn the bar chart. That is the first step. Now you have 2 minutes to draw it in a graph paper. It is better to use a graph paper without, then only you can get real and sometimes if you use the normal paper, you can't find the real it is very difficult to draw the real picture graph. Because of that, I am Here with I am highly emphasized to use graph papers during the exam. They are required to provide it. Don't worry. One paper, two paper, no, they can't stop the limit. If you fail to do it at the first time, don't worry. Then you can request another paper and do it, right? Then after completing that first part, bar chart, then after that you are required to draw the line chart. For that, what we are going to do is we are going to add another x-axis. It is the percentage line, cumulative percentage one. We are going to call it is a cumulative percentage, right? Here the number of this frequency. Here the number of cumulative percentage of the dissatisfied customers, right? Now you are required to draw the line chart. For that, I am going to use this line, this one, right? I'm going to use this for the quality of foods, 35 point something here. Then second one, 55.6 for the cumulative percentage from, that means house for the housekeeping and quality of foods, that is 55 something like that here. I'm going to mark it here. Likewise, this is the third one like here. Likewise, first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to tick the points. We have to mark the points. Then after that, by using a line, you must combine those lines. Then only you can get this cumulative percentage curve. Right? This is the second step. Third step is, because we are going to use 80-20 concept. To use the 80-20 concept, what we first of all, then we have to apply that. Then we are going to draw 80% line here. Right? This is the line. Then one point you can see it's touch intersect the cumulative dissatisfaction percentage. From that point, you are required to draw a line in this way. Then you can recognize what are the factors that influence for highly influential factors for the problem. Those are quality of foods, housekeeping, and level of comfortability. By answering those three factors, it will help to satisfy more than 80% of it, right? You can see that then you can satisfy more than 80% of it. Then now what you have done is you have recognized the most critical factors that influence for the dissatisfaction, right? Those are the factors. Those are the reasons for the dissatisfied customers. If you provide quality of foods, if you provide proper housekeeping and level of comfortability, if you increase the level of comfortability of the rooms, it will help to convert that dissatisfied customers to the satisfaction customers, right? But you can't stop from that point because you don't know why it's happened. In other words, what are the root causes for poor quality foods? What are the root causes for housekeeping? Poor level of housekeeping. What are the root causes for poor level of room comfortability? With this, you know the main dissatisfied reasons. It is not enough. You know by giving answer for those three factors, you can convert it then 80% dissatisfied customers to the satisfied customers. In other words, You are going. You have a chance to say full. You have by giving answers for these three issues, you can give an answer for the more than 80% of the problem, right? That is not enough, right? You, as a manager, you have to go in depth to recognize what are the root causes of it. We know what is the method that we are going to use to recognize root causes. What is the method that we can use to recognize, identify, rectify, to main issues of the problem, root causes of the problem? That is cause and effect diagram. Cause and effect diagram or Ishikawa diagram or fishbone diagram. We are going to use that diagram. Ishikawa diagram. We are going to use this Ishikawa diagram to recognize the root causes for those three recognized items, not for the each and every these factors that they have recognized, right? Those are the, because we have enough, not we have limited funds, we have limited time. Then first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to answer those three. We are going to answer those three. We are going to identify the root causes of these three factors. Then can we prepare a one cause and effect diagram for those three? No, there it is not possible. Then because of that, what we have to do, we have to prepare three cause and effect diagrams. Right? That is the second step. It is not easy because we are required to conduct brainstorming session to get to know the root causes. Right? You know, poor quality of the food is the one factor, but you don't know what are the reasons behind it, what are the causes behind it. Then you are required to conduct brainstorming session to the people who are dealing with that problem, right? That means sometimes you are required to conduct three meetings for the people who are dealing with the foods, for people who are dealing with the housekeeping, and people who are keeping working to keep and maintain the comfortability of the room, right? Then it has to be done separately. Sometimes you can do everything at once, but if the same people are involved in all the factors, if it is not, it is better to conduct separate meetings, and you are required to conduct brainstorming session to recognize the factors. Then you have under the brainstorming session, what we are going to do is we are going to give opportunity each and every individual to present their views. Then you are after presenting, it is not enough to give chance to present it. You are required to record that all. Then after that, it is required to list down. It is required to put into the separate baskets equal issues. You can use one standardized categorization method like M5 and IO, M5, 8M, something like that, right? Based on that, what you are required to put that all the given reason to the baskets. Then after that, based on that information, what we are going to do is we are going to draw the first step of the Ishikawa diagram. But it is not enough. If you want to recognize real root causes, you are required to conduct a YY session with them, so that should employees. Then on that relevant parties, then only you can recognize what are the real reason, cause factor, root causes of that. For that, it is required to apply cause YY method. Under that, it is better to show at least one branch and how we are going to use the cause and YY method to find the root causes of it, right? Here, during the exam, there is no time to draw three cause and effect diagrams. It's not possible. Because of that, during the exam, we expect to draw only one diagram. But during the question, we are not going to mention it. right? But by considering the time, you are required to, you are, as a manager, you must decide what are the information you are going to present, right? Just only the one diagram, then after that, one branch by using the by diagram, and then only you can write the final conclusion to the your recommendation. You are going to write memo to your manager to get approval to implement, right? This is the solution that I am going to implement. Give me the solution approval, right? That is the thing. You are not going to table questions. You are going to go there with your solution. Then you can use the memo format and present your findings, right? This is the answer that I expect this type of question. Shall we go for another fiction? What is this? This is a quality function deployment matrix. That is the way that one method that we can use to bring customers' voice to the product design. Because we know we are going to satisfy customers. We are going to satisfy customers. That is the quality. That is the way that we can keep and retain customers with us. That is the only way that we can keep and retain with us. If the customers does not satisfy with our outcome, our product or service, our production, good or services, they will drop our ones. They are not they will not going to buy it again and again. Because of that, it is required to keep and retain with them. We have to provide continual satisfaction. Time to time, it is better to go and evaluate what really they want, what is their implied and state requirements, whether it has changed. If it has changed, then we have to adjust our product. We have to develop our product to match that given current requirements. For that, we are going to use this house of quality function deployment as a tool. Here, it generates large number of information. It's almost one-page management. Within a one page, we can collect lot of information. During the exam, it has a big chance to ask this. We have test your capacity to explain it, the steps of it. This is not the only way that we can ask questions. We can test your capacity. Sometimes it will give filled one, completed quality function deployment matrix for one product, for the development or beginning of the product. Then what is the requirement? You are required to explain each and every steps, every information generated by that given example. There is a chance to ask to draw and explain. There is a chance to ask what are the benefit and limitation of it. What are the steps of it? Why it is very much important at the time you are going to design a product or develop the existing product. Likewise, not only that, there are a number of ways that your knowledge can be evaluated. Not in addition to that, it can be asked to criticize that matrix. Likewise, here what I am going to do, I am going to explain the steps. Suppose there is a question, to draw a diagram by explaining each and every steps. Then, first of all, it is better to draw the diagram with the completed diagram, not the format. You are required to provide completed diagram and explain. Almost like if I will show one. It's like this. Are required to give this type of one. Then after that, you are required to present the information here. Sometimes the exam will be given a one like this and asked to present the information to make decisions. Okay. Shall we go and see one by one, step by step? Then you can check your capacity to answer the question. It is going, as I mentioned, it's going to start from the customer. We are going to design our product by considering the customers to satisfy customers' requirement, need and wants. That is our ultimate target. That is our ultimate target. We are going to call here, that is customer's voice of the customer. First of all, what we are going to do is we are going to conduct survey, Delphi method, then observation or whatever the method to gather the customer what's really customer want. As a production organization, we can do it without considering by what really customer want. It can be done, but the problem is if customer reject our product, there is no survival for the business. We can make a very good product according to the engineer's perspective. However, customers will reject that. If they refuse it, we don't have sales. That means we have only the expenses. Can you run the business? No, there is no way. We are earning losses. Ultimately, we have to shut down the organization. If we satisfy customers' requirement, they will buy it, they will rebuy it, they will recommend the product to the others to buy it. Not only that, at the time we are going to introduce a new products also, they will go for it also because they have become a very loyal customers to the organization. Here, what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to collect the data and analyze to recognize really what customer want. For that, we can use different type of things. Customer requirements. Sometimes they directly write us. Warranty data, we can use in that we can recognize the level of failures of the product. Competitive opportunities. There's the customer has a different competitive opportunity in the market. Then it is better to compare those. If it is not, we don't know. Where is the other competitors? Likewise, different information are in the market. Why customers purchasing my competitor's product without buying my products? Then it is better to compare. Likewise, it is a very much critical to collect correct information customers. If we fail to correct information from the customers, there is no point to design that QFD metrics because we are working with the incorrect information. Because of that, the critical point of the quality function deployment metrics is collecting the correct information from the customer. The balance part is a design, a lot of the analysis part. It is required to collect the information from customers and it is required to collect the information about the competitor's product. That's all. Then after that, balance part is the analysis. If you fail to do it in a proper way, then ultimately without correct data, if you can make the quality function deployment, but the problem is you can make the quality function deploy, and you based on that you can design the product and you can put into the market, but you will fail. Making a quality function deployment metrics is not sufficient to success of the market. You are required to make it by using the correct information. That is the critical factor. This different question you are required to ask and see about the customer, about the product, why they satisfy, why they do not satisfy, who are the satisfied people, who are the not satisfied people, what are the competitors, what are the main features of the competitors' products, huh? What is our product, what are the main features that we have to address, what is the level of satisfaction with the customers with that features, huh? Do they happy with it? What is the deviation from the expectation and our product feature? The performance, likewise. Those are the basic information, critical information they were required to get. Okay, first of all, what we are going to do is it is required to write that collected information. Here we are going to collect the information from a large number of people. Then we are at the time different customers come with the different views. Oh my God, 100 number of items they have mentioned. How can we put that everything into the quality function diploma? Can we put everything? No, there is no way to bring everything into the quality function deployment, QFD diagram. Then you have to remind that it is required to recognize the critical values. Then we can apply all tools to recognize them. Pareto, using the Pareto diagram, we can minimize it to the significant level, no? Then we can use those because we are with the each and every customer requirement, we have a frequencies. Based on the frequencies, we can go ahead. Based on the frequencies, we can go ahead and make that. By using the Pareto diagrams or any other techniques, we can summarize we can recognize the critical factors. Those are the information we have got here. Now you can see the relationship with the different quality tools. I have just mentioned a few quality tools. There are 100 number of quality tools presented by different people. As a manager, you should have an idea about those different tools. Those are very beneficial at the time you are going to work as a manager. Whatever the capacity, whatever the field, those are important. Second point is regulatory requirement. For what it is? No. Just based on the customer's requirement, we can't make a product. In addition to that, we have to obey, we have to work with. We have to work with the regulations and standards set by the government and the regulatory bodies of the country or international level. If you are going to deviate from it, we can't put it to the market. That is the rule. You have to go with it. You are required to work with that. That is the step number 2. Shall we go to the next step and see? Step number 5. Here, technical descriptors, voice of the engineer. The technical descriptors are the attributes about the product or service that can be measured and benchmarked against the competition. Now here, this is the way that at the time the company is going to make a product. They are concerned about the attribute that they are going to add to the descriptors that they are going to add to the product. Then only they can compare with the other benchmark against the compare and benchmark against the competition. Those are the way that engineers explain the product attributes, explain the product features. This is the way that they are going to explain. Then only the thing that customers do not have idea about the distribute attributes of the product that can use to measure the competition. They don't have idea. Their voice is something different. What we are going to do is we are going to convert that customer's voice into the technical descriptors, voice of the engineers, right? Now, to add whatever the attributes we are going to add to the technical descriptors to the production planning, technical descriptors of the production planning, those are fulfilled. It is required to fulfill customers' requirement. By using a one attribute or two or three, whatever the method, they are going to provide that customer's requirement. In the other hand, there is a relationship between, we can say that there is a relationship between the customer's voice and the engineer's voice. You can see that. That's why we are going to position those information here. Then only we can compare take the relationship between those two. Between the engineer's voice and the customer's voice. That's why we have kept the separate area for that. Is there sometimes by using a one attribute, it can be provided will be support to the not only one requirement of the customer has mentioned, for the number of requirements, it will address by the one attribute. Sometimes there are three, more than one attributes will address to the one to fulfill the one customer's voice. Right now, here you can understand it is not yes, you can see that again it has divided into performance message, 3 bars, the size of the size of range and technical details. It is give a better understand because you are not it is not much important if you can have a capacitor, right? They have recognized 3 attributes under the performance measures, 2 attributes under the size of the range, and the 3 attributes under the technical details. Those are the following attributes under performance measures. Likewise, you can explain it, right? Then we can go and see the next step. Direction of the improvement. Direction of the improvement. It should be decided by engineers, not the customers. It should be decided by the engineers. With the attributes, it is required to recognize. Sometimes, because of the customer's requirement, sometimes it required to improve. By consider the customer's required, sometimes it is required to decrease. Sometimes it is not required to do increase or decrease, it can keep the same level. This is the third 3 levels, but with the meat of the European standard, it's a must. You can't increase or decrease. It is a must. You can match it. That's why we are not going to add anything here. Direction of the improvement. Direction of the improvement. The seventh one, relationship metrics. The relationship metrics is where the team determines the relationship between customers' need and companies' ability to meet those needs. In one hand, the customer is going to mention the requirement of them. Other hand, we are going to check whether we have a capacity to meet those things as an organization. The relationship between those. Relationship metrics determine the relationship between customer needs and company's ability to meet those needs. Here, team asks one question: what is the strength of the relationship between the technical descriptors and the customer's voice? Here, what we are going to do is we are going to recognize the relationship between those two. We are going to recognize the relationship between those two. Here we are going to use 3 levels: weak, moderate, and strong. Here I have to correct one point. This is not the 3. We are going to use 4 for here. Right? 4. 1, 3, and 1, 4, and 9. We are going to recognize 3 levels. We are going to give marks by using that. That relationship is a weak. That means the customers' need and the company's ability to meet those needs is a weak relationship. Then we are going to keep a 1. That means that by using that attribute, what is the contribution that can give to satisfy that customer need. Here you can see we have used 3 type of symbols. It is very easy. If it is not, you can use directly the numbers also. But generally, there's a practice. Quality function deployments is using those 3 symbols to recognize, to show the level of relationship, right? strong for the strong, one symbol. This is the one for the medium size. This is the symbol with the third one rectangle. This is the one. Right? By using that, you can see that it has fill here to easy to use to provide that customer's requirement. There's a relationship here. It has a relationship with the two attributes. Easy to put on. Number of sizes, then it has a medium moderate relationship with the number of bubbles. It has a long strong relationship. They're comfortable when handling. It has relationship with the three attributes: number of size, number of bubbles, and paddling tightness. Right? Those three. Likewise, you can recognize the relationships. Then after that, we are going to check the organizational difficulty because we have mentioned some attributes, but it is better to check the capacity to achieve. Sometimes there is a conflict in between those attributes. We are going to make number of sizes or by using a number of colors. Then it is required to keep higher stores to store the output, required out stores. Likewise, there is sometimes it is required additional. Sometimes there is a relationship between those two attributes. Then what we are going to do is we are going to recognize the level of difficulty. Here, by using the scale, we are going to show the level of difficulty to achieve. Number of sizes, we have given 5 marks. Number of sizes, we have given 5 marks. Sorry, number of sizes, we have given 5 marks. That means it is very difficult to achieve. Then we have given 4 marks for harness weight. For that, we have given 4 marks. Likewise, for someone, it is very easy to achieve. Some are moderate level. You can see that this is the level of difficulty to achieve those attributes. Okay, those attributes. Difficult to achieve those attributes. What is the level of difficulty to achieve those? Number 9, technical analysis of the competitor products. Previously, we have done based on the customer's perspective. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to analyze those things based on the technical attributes, better to understand the competition. Engineering then conduct the competition. Engineers should understand the competition. What is the layer level? What is our level when we compare with the attribute? It is almost equal to the level step number 3. But only the difference is under the step number 3, we just compare what customer wants based on the customer's points. Now we are going to compare with the technical analysis based on the technical attributes. Here you can see it is almost equal to this, but here you can see that we have compared our product with the competitor based on the attributes. As engineers points. Based on the engineer's points. Target values of the technical descriptors. Now we are going to do some calculations. As the stage of the process, team begin to establish target values. Because target values are sometimes because we want to achieve this. If we are going to achieve something, first of all, what we are going to do is we are going to set the target. Right? This is the level here we want to achieve. How much it is. It is here you can see that. Here you can see that. How much it is. some are 100%. When we concern about European standard, it should be matched with 100%. We don't have a match 90% or 80% or 95%. It should be 100% matched with the specifications. Then we have given the size for the weight. We have given this that now the weight of the how many kilos like that will depend on the scale that we can use for that special attribute, not the same thing, right? Then after that, what we are going to do is we are going to recognize the correlation methods. Correlation between here, what we are going to do is we are going to compare the two. There is a relationship between attributes, right? Sometimes it is a positive relationship. When we are going to increase, it is a positively influence with another one. Sometimes there is a negative relationship. In some cases, there is no way to recognize the relationship between those. There is no way to recognize the relationship between those. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to recognize the relationships. You can see that here I have mentioned those relationships. Some are highly positive, some are positive, some are negative, some are moderately, lightly, strongly moderate positive, some are negative. It is a medium level. Likewise, you can recognize. The final one. Recognize the absolute importance. Finally, where team calculate the team members who are involved with the designing, calculate the absolute importance of each technical descriptors. Yes, the technical descriptors, it has recognized different technical descriptors to match. For why we are, because we have to focus on customer's voice, right? We have to focus on the customer's voice. Then we have focused on that, but we have given priority to the one that is not highly that is not the one that customers recognize as the highly important. We can make the product by considering the customer's voice, but not only the voice, they have given level of importance of it. We can make a product by considering the customer's voice, not the level of importance. Then it automatically create a gap in between the real customer voice, real customer's requirement, and the product. That because we are going to recognize the absolute importance of the each and every. Right? For that, what we are going to do is we are going to do some calculations. Here you can remember that you can use number 9 here, right? Here number 4, number 9, number 4, 1, right? Here you can see the customer's importance, right? When we concern about the first attribute, this is the level of relationship between customer voice and the attribute. This is the level level of importance given by the customer. By multiplying those two, we can recognize the level of importance, absolute importance. Here 5, here 9. 5 multiplied by 9, you can get the 45. To get this one, 69, what is the calculation? Here you can see that attributes as relationship with the four requirements mentioned by the customers. Here 5, but we relationship with the 4, then we have required to multiply by the 5 by 4. This is the one. The second one, 3 by 9. This is the one. Third one, 5 multiplied by, 5 multiplied by 4. This is the one. Fourth one, 2 multiplied by 1, this is the one. Then we have to get the total. This is just 69. Here you can see the calculations. Then we can recognize highly important one. The importance one is this one, peddling weight. Tightness. This is the most important one. Likewise, you can recognize it. But we want to know the percentages, relative importance as a percentage. Then what we are going to do is we are going to get the total of the absolute importance, 45 plus 69 plus 57 plus 18. Likewise, we are going to add all together. And we are going to, then we have a total importance. We are going to calculate the relative importance. What we are going to do is, for the first attribute, we are going to divide 45 by total importance and multiply it by 100. Then only you can get the relative importance here, right? Then after that, what we are going to do is we are going to add. We are going to do the same calculation for the other balance part. Then you can recognize what is the most relative important attribute from those. Those are the information we are required to present, right? Now we can move to the final question that I have planned to discuss with you. Okay, shall we go for another question that is also relevant to the statistical quality control? This is a internal exam question. Please go through first. Try to understand especially during the COVID period. We conduct the exam online. During that time, this is the one question we asked from our students to overcome it, to give a good answer for it. I believe you, with our discussions, you have much more idea about how to use that statistical quality control. Then that is the area. Please read it. Vanish Private Limited manufacturers hand sanitizer gel, which sells under the brand of Vanish 99.9. The hand sanitizer gel is made in 2 stages. A batch mixing process is followed by a bottling process. There are 2 processes, mixing process and the bottling process. Each hand sanitizer gel that has value of 20,000. Vanish Private Limited mix only 1 batch per day, right? Which is sufficient to fill 100,000 bottles. Vanish 99.9 must achieve specifications set by the process. Normally, we know that, no? For each and every process, there is a specification set by the process. That is, the alcohol of the bottle must be in between 55% to 65%. We know that at the time that alcohol is the one of the main ingredient of the sanitizer gel, right? They have mentioned it should be in between 55 to 65. Then it is in control. That is the point that you have to get it. Then you know that it is in control. If it is not, you are going to say that it is out of control. The quality assurance manager takes the sample from each batch and set alcohol percentage during the mixing. That the quality assurance manager takes a sample from each batch and takes alcohol percentage during mixing. In addition to, it insists that the net content of the bottle should be not exceed 98 milliliters. Should exceed 98 milliliters. That means a minimum that lower control level, that you can't fill the half of the bottle, no. Then they should have an idea about it, that the bottle, if you observe the bottle, they have mentioned that 100 milliliters, right? We know that there is there is no way to eliminate that common variations. That's why they have set a lower level variation for that, right? There are two type of controls, no, for the alcohol, upper level and lower level. For the bottle mixing, minimum requirement, because we automatically everyone knows that maximum level that bottle can be filled on 100 milliliters. There is no way to fill more than that. Then it automatically it should be stop that point. This is monitored by taking 5 bottles every half of the end of the bottling line, right? That bottles, by using the bottles, what they are going to do, they are going to check whether they have fill 98 at least 98 milliliters for the each and every bottle. Then what they are going to do, from one some batch, they are going to take 5 bottles and see it. Okay, this is the monitored by the taking 5 bottles every half an hour and end of the bottling line and measure the content. Second one, and the end of the because content there is no way to check until bottling process. That is here now you have I believe you have some idea, proper idea about the case, right? Okay. Here you don't they didn't give any calculation or whatever the things. They have explained the scenario that organization is performing, right? This question is, suppose you are the quality assurance manager of the Vanish Private Limited. Describe how would you demonstrate the customer Vanish 99 the bottling process was stable. That's the problem. One customer question on it. How do you measure that with your control is that they will question no with the level of alcohol percentage. Then they will ask the level how to maintain that level of minimum milliliters requirement of the bottles. Likewise, then we are going to explain it to that customer. How do you do it? That's the problem. Now you are required to explain those. They are not going to ask what is statistical quality control, what is the upper limit and lower limit. Those are basics information that you know, but it is not required to present here, right? What is the requirement? You are required to present the process you are following and check how whether the process is stable or not. That is the target. Don't write unnecessary lecture notes here. Keep it in your mind. If you are going to write unnecessary lecture notes to fill the target, no, you will that shows you don't know the answer for that question. Right? Keep it in your mind. You are a practical manager. You are want to be a manager head tomorrow, right? At the moment also you are working, right? Under that scenario, you should have a capacity to answer this type of questions. Then what you are going to do is you are going to explain the process. What is the process? Shall we go and see? This is step number 1. First of all, what we have to do is we have required a data collection. Yes, clearly mentioned it, no? How do you do the data collection when it is you are going to collect the data? Then you are going to explain those. Collect the data from on the net content of each bottle over the period of time. As mentioned, 5 bottles are taken every half an hour from the end of the bottling line and their contents are measured. This is the one. First of all, we are required to collect the data. Can you remember that previously you work with one exercise? They have given the data. Here then, as a manager, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to collect the data. No one is there to give the data. You are the person who are required to collect the data. Then you have to say the way that you are going to collect the data. The bottling process, how many items you are going to take. Likewise, you have to explain it. That is the first step. Then calculate the control limits. Then you are going to calculate the center line, upper control level, lower control limit. Here they have given the upper control level and lower control limits. That is not required to calculate. You can see those are the formulas we are going to use to calculate the upper control level and lower control level. Right? Here we are what we are going to do is we are going to use X double bar chart and the R bar chart to measure for that purpose. Then it is required to calculate the upper control limit and lower control limit for the X bar chart. Those are the formulas we are going to use for it. Secondly, it is required to calculate the range where it is required to draw the range the range bar. Then it is required to calculate center line that's in the mean and the top and the upper level and lower level controls. Right? Then if you want, you can draw and show it. That is better. Okay, that is the second part of it. Then what you are going to do is you will plot the data in a control chart and draw the diagrams. X-axis present the type, Y-axis present the content of the bottle. Right? By using that, you can draw the diagram. It's very easy because previously what we have done is we have did the calculation. Now what we are going to do is we are going to write that process step by step. Don't forget at the time you have to write what is X-axis, Y-axis, how we are going to how we are going to title the chart. Likewise, everything we are required to mention. Then you have a chart. Now what you are going to do, monitor the chart regularly, monitor the control over the time. Then after that, I have the upper level and lower level. For the X bar chart also, we have upper level, say 55 and 65 for the alcohol level. Again, then likewise, for the other requirements, we are required to calculate, right? Then after that, you have a chart. What you are going to do, from each and every sample, you are going to take from each and every batch, you are going to take some samples and you are going to get the X bar, X double bar and do the calculation. Take the average X bar for each and every batch, you are going to take some sample units. For that sample units, you are going to get the X bar and R. Then based on that, you are going to mark the label, right? If it is outside the process, then you have to we have 5 rules. If it is if that points are out of the beyond the upper control level and lower control level, then we can say it is out of control. At one point, we can say that, right? But within the limit also, there are 4 rules. Then you are going to say the 4 rules of that. Within the limit, you can identify it is out of control. Likewise, the 2 points very much close to the lower line, no upper line. Then we are going to recognize it is out of control. Likewise, you have to mention those are the methods we are going to catch whether the process is in control or out of control. Then you are required to, time to time, you are required to interpret the chart. If the data points constantly fail within the control limits, they show random variation around the process mean that indicate the bottling process is stable. That is that's a normal situation, no? It is around the central line, control limit, and within the control limits. Then we are going to say it is control. If it is not, it is required to take corrective actions. That is the 6th step. If any data points outside the control limit or if the non-random patterns emerge. Okay, those are the 4 types, 4 rules. Can you remember those? We have already discussed those with another question, right? There is no time to explain it again here. Then we investigate the variation and take corrective actions to find answers for it. The final step, they demonstrate stability of the customer once the control chart consistently shows that the bottling process is stable. Use the chart to evidence to demonstrate the customer that the process is under control. Then you can show a diagram, see that our process is very much stable. It is within the limit. You can't see any trend or any non-random patterns within the control limits also. If it is not available, then you can say this is a good process. It is very much acceptable, well controlled process. Those are the important informations you are required to present under this. Okay. Shall I remind those steps again? Step number 1, data collection, because you are the person who are responsible to collect the data, right? You are required to that. First of all, what you are going to do, you are going to decide how many sample units you are going to take from each batch, right? Right. Likewise, for the time duration, you are going to take a sample units. Likewise, you are going to decide the process. Then after that, cost occasionally, you are going to collect the sample units, and based on that, you can collect the data. Calculate the control limits. Now we have a data. Based on that, first of all, what you are going to do, right? You are going to decide the upper control level and lower control levels for R bar chart, R chart and X bar chart, right? Mean chart and range chart. Those are the requirements. For that, we are going to calculate upper control limit or lower control limit. Likewise, based on we have a data, based on that you can calculate the mean. By using the standard deviation, you can calculate the upper control limit and lower control levels. If it is not, by applying those by getting the information from the tables, you can do it, right? There are 2 methods to do. Under the third way, what we are going to, now we have a chart. Then after that, now we are going to control continuously with the each and every process batch. We are going to collect the data, we are going to get the sample, get the mean of it, get the range of it. Those are those information you are going to plot in the table, your graphs, right? That has to be done. Then after that, regularly you are going to monitor the control charts over the time whether there is out of control because immediately you are required to take actions to stop the entire process if it is out of control, right? Regularly, you are required to do it over the time. Whatever the situation, you are required to collect the data and do it. Then you are required to interpret the data, interpret the chart. If it is totally in control, there is no non-random patterns within the limits, and there is no pots outside the control limits. Then based on that, you can explain your customer, this is the process, this is the way that we are controlling our processes. Okay, thank you. Shall we go for another question?